Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Ovik, who went from losing his job at the beginning of the pandemic to getting an entry-level $50,000 a year remote job at a big agency in New York City. So I'm really excited to share his story with you. Thank you for being here, Ovik.
Hey, thank you for having me, Seth.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your current job and what you're doing and what it's like?
Yeah, sure. So right now I am a PPC analyst, and a lot of my job is basically what you teach in the course. It's doing ad copy, executing ad copy, doing keyword research, and then it's also uh, going into the accounts and then looking at search terms, seeing which are irrelevant, doing negative keywords, changing bids to optimize accounts. And then on top of that, I also do some reporting. So a lot of it is just looking at numbers, and then in terms of like click-through rate, clicks, impressions, looking at those metrics, and then just reporting back to the client and letting them know how the accounts are doing.
That's awesome, man. And like, about how much ad spend would you say you're responsible for at this point?
So there are, for my account, there are sub brands. So within one account, there are 5 different other brands. So that's how they divide their spend. But I'll just give you in the ballpark for one brand, it'll probably be like about for one for say they do seasonal flights for their ads. So there's a specific period when they spend a certain amount for a certain period of time. So for this specific season for summer, there's for one brand, there's probably spending like let's say 250K, just to give you a ballpark idea.
Oh, so just one, and you have 5 of those?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm also working on 4 other sub brands that they have.
So you're
Yeah,
you're managing, it sounds like you're managing close to $1 million a month. Is that accurate?
yeah, yep. You can say that. Yeah.
That's
It's a lot of pressure. It sounds like a lot of pressure to manage that much money, but actually, it's really fun to look at, how you can, when you have that sort of money, how you can spend and then get all this traffic.
yeah. So and remember, the people watching are, they know a little bit about digital marketing. Most people don't know that much. So I don't try to get too technical. Even though you love to nerd out, I love to nerd out. But what people are really wondering is, like, how did you go from, we're going to explain this, but you didn't have any previous experience. And, just a few months into this job, you're managing almost $1 million a month. And how long have you been at this job?
It's about 4 or 5 months. I just started in February. So you know, um, right in February 2021. Yeah, right at the start of almost the start of the year.
Yeah. So, and you're managing a lot. That's a lot of responsibility. And it's also building your resume for your next position. And what are you getting paid at this job?
About 50K a year.
And this is your first job in digital marketing.
Yep, this is my first job, no prior experience.
Awesome.
And I did everything in your course, so that's what basically helped me out.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into that in a second. And is this an in-house job or is it remote?
Oh, right now it's remote, working fully remote.
That's great. So let's tell people, so let's walk people back to, like, when you took the course and how the whole process was. How did you find out about the course, and what was it like taking it, and how did you end up getting this job? Is essentially what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so I was on my computer one day, and I was, thinking about my future. Recent grad. I was unemployed. Broke kid right before the pandemic. Immigrant parents. And in my culture, it's like if you weren't a doctor and engineer, you weren't believed to be successful.
And what's
So I
your
was,
share with people a little bit about just this specific, what is your culture, and what had happened in your life? You say you just graduated from college, right? And you had a
yeah,
job, or you had lost some jobs?
I was doing two jobs at that time. I was doing personal training, and then I also was a inside sales intern for an ice cream company.
A Japanese ice cream company, right?
Yes.
Right. So you were like calling restaurants to
Yep.
try to get them to buy.
I was calling restaurants, and then telling them like, hey, don't forget to place your order. So I was kind of like a customer service rep, and at the same time, like also doing some sales. Um, and so during the pandemic, I got laid off, and at that time, gyms were closed too, so not a lot of people were looking for personal training. Um, and it was a tough situation, but I tried to look at, um, think about my future, look at what I can do, what are some skills that are in demand, and then I was looking at digital marketing courses, and your course showed up. So then I started just going through the modules, trying to build a portfolio, trying to get as much experience by doing some tasks here and there. I actually went to Cadium, like you said, and then try to generate some experience by giving help to some entrepreneurs. And then I started applying to some jobs. I built my resume, started applying to some jobs.
Hold on one second.
Got
I'm
a
just going to interrupt you. I'm going to start. No, this is great, but I just wanted to give people some clarity with the timeline and also, so just for people's clarification, and what is your culture? Because you were saying culturally, there's a lot of
oh
pressure.
yeah, sorry if I guys mentioned. I'm from Bangladesh,
Okay,
born in Bangladesh, raised in New York.
right on. And in your culture, it's like, what did your family think of you doing this instead of like becoming an engineer or becoming trying to get to medical school or whatever?
So when I first uh, when I first was like in my freshman year, they wanted me to become like a doctor or like an engineer or something like that. And I think by junior year, so I started off as a math major. I think by junior or senior year, I changed my major, which is something nobody would do, at that last minute. But I changed my major. I had a change of interest. So I got into basically marketing, and then which is a communications field, and then but we really didn't learn anything about digital, so it was all um, traditional marketing, right? It was very outdated stuff, so nothing that's in the field right now. Um, so right after graduation, I was like, hey, we should be learning, digital. So that's how I started trying to just learn myself. Um, but my parents at first they were kind of disappointed, like to hear that when I made that decision. Um, but I would say the upside is like eventually like they'll come around, right? And then when they see the results, like you know they really don't care after that, because
Right.
they all they want is like they assume that if you don't do any other field, like there's no money there or you won't be successful. But once they see that you have the result, um, you know, a lot of those things they just disappear and they just want you to be happy.
Absolutely.
So
That's what I think a lot of people want to hear that. But let's get back to how you got there. So you and that's really good to hear you say that because that is the truth, guys. I have spoken with so many marketing majors, and it's so pathetic, really, that these marketing, universities, the highest level of education that you can go to in any country, they are teaching outdated crap. And then it's up to the students, to take it upon themselves to get training like my course, something that's modern. So I'm glad you did that. So you went through the course, you did all the assignments, you generated your own experience. And then like about when did you start applying for jobs?
I think it was about the sixth month, because I really wanted to like not only just like have something to show the interviewers, but I really wanted to know what I was talking about. I wanted to dig deep, actually know my stuff. So then, I've probably watched the course, some videos more than once. I've got my hands dirty and just, went, digged in, and then played with the engine, and then, just played with like the Google engine, and then the Bing engines, and then basically just try to get as much experience as I can.
Yeah.
And then I got a couple interviews. my first two interviews didn't go as I wanted, but it was a great experience for me to know what to expect. And then that third interview is when I actually got the job. So
So
I would say the first two interviews got me ready for that third one.
I think it's really, really interesting because I don't know what the timeline was like. That you say 3 interviews in, you got the job, which is very quick in any field, especially with no experience. And some people, and you guys are watching this, it's totally okay if you have more than that, even if you do 10. I mean, people have had 10 interviews, 15 interviews. The fact that you're getting interviews with no experience is amazing because you're going to run into so many college graduates who cannot get one interview. But a lot of people are, concerned about that. I say your first interview shouldn't be amazing. You're learning. It's your first one. You should learn from it. Go in with very low expectations. How do you think what did you learn from the first to the third that made the difference?
I would say it's to know your flex your knowledge on the interviews, and then at the same time just kind of like be yourself and show them that you're not a robot, you have personality. You're a human being just like everybody else. Agencies like that sort of stuff, they want a people person, especially when you like communicating with clients. And I think that was the main difference, was that the first two going in, it was kind of like I was thinking of generic interview questions, but then that third one, they really didn't ask me a lot. What they did was just kind of talk to me, and then I was doing most of the talking. I was just telling them exactly how I'm talking to you, Seth. It was like what I had been doing during the pandemic. Why I wanted to do this. This is where I wanted to be. I let them be known that this is what I want to do as a job. And then I backed it up by saying, hey, this is the experience I have generated. And then we kind of hit it off. Me and the director, we kind of had this friendly exchange. And then a week later, I get the email that, hey, I get the offer, that they want me to start.
That's fantastic. What was that like to get that offer letter?
It was very, very surprising. It's usually the one that you don't think you're gonna get is the one that you get. Because the second one I thought I was gonna get, and I didn't end up getting it. There was like a change. They're like, oh, we decide we're gonna continue hiring later on in a month. And then the third one was the one that I got, and that felt so good because I kept watching like your student videos, with the testimonials, and like that's what kind of kept me like, hey, you know what, I'll get one eventually. I just got to keep trying. And that's exactly what happened.
That's awesome. And this agency is a decent sized agency, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very big. They're global. They actually have like 5 offices. One in London, one in New York, I think Singapore, and then I forget 2 more. I forget where, but yeah, they're all around the world.
That's awesome, man. And so, like, okay, you took the course, you generated some experience. You've never actually worked with, $1 million budgets or probably even thousands of dollars yet before this, right? So, what happened in your first, month at the job? Like, and you're remote too. So, like, what's it like? I mean, are they helping you like day by day? Are they checking in on you? Are people guiding you? Did they hand you, what did they have you doing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So they did partner me up with somebody to kind of check in on me. He is my manager. So basically, I report to him. He gives me tasks, and sometimes what he does is, say if I don't know anything, he'd let me shadow him. And then we kind of like share our screens and set up meetings to just learn off each other. And so they're super helpful. Like, you're never going to be, sometimes you think like, hey, they just throw you to the wolves, but you just got to roll with it. And like, you'll find that you learn as you keep doing it. So it's kind of just like making an adjustment and just kind of like learning as you go. But you will, if you go in like with a base knowledge, like a minimum base knowledge, that's going to be super helpful. So like, and you would have that if you do everything in your course, you know, you would have that base knowledge. So like going in, it wasn't like much of a surprise of what the expectation was. So I was doing right away, I was doing ad copy, I was doing, keyword research, budget projections, with like the keyword planner. So those kind of, tasks that, entry level position would do in the PPC world. And then another side was just reporting, reporting as in like, getting certain metrics, putting them in a slide, and then just doing some insights, and just giving the client some information about what's going on in that week. And so far, that's about it. But I am also getting into like pacing heavily. Now, pacing is basically making sure your budgets are there, and you're not overspending or underspending the budget.
Yeah. This is great. And what, and that first month, did they have you working on these big accounts, or did that kind of happen over the last few months? Right away, you were helping out on those?
Yeah, right away. So like you said, there's just not enough people that are in this field, and they want people with good skills. So if the skill is there, and the demand is definitely there, they need more people. There's just not enough of us that are
Right.
knowing about this field. So
That's true, man. And so they put you right in on these big accounts. And guys, you have to understand this. I say it again and again. I mean, you're getting, it's not only a job, you're getting paid to be trained by professionals. You guys have no idea how valuable this is. I put these coaching calls in the course, and my coaches are these guys. This is you would pay $300 an hour minimum to get one-on-one mentorship or shadowing with any one of my coaches or the guy you're working with. You would normally be paying this guy at like a boot camp thousands of dollars to get that kind of mentorship, but instead you're getting paid to get trained. And it's because there is this lack. So I love, seeing this, guys. It's the same, everything you've heard me say year after year, week after week. The colleges are out of date. The supply is low. The demand is high. And maybe someday in like 20 years or 5 years or 10 years, I don't know, the mainstream will catch on. But for now, this type of thing is very, very normal. So how do you like it? Just tell us, like, how do you like it? And how do what do your parents think?
well, I mean, I love it, honestly. I can't, this is what I wanted, this is exactly what I wanted, and I got it. Um, and my parents are very happy. They were very proud of me once I told them, I get the job. They were like, wow, all that hard work, like all those things that you were doing paid off. I'm like, yeah, this is real. Like, this is actually, you can do it. You have control of your life. You just have to execute. And lo and behold, here we are.
That's great, man. And what's the day-to-day like? Are you kind of like, do they have you like hour by hour, like checking your work, or are you given a little bit of flexibility? What's that like?
So day to day, I would say there are certain tasks that I would do every day, which is like probably just like doing some checks, on certain accounts, just to see if things are going well. And then I do join a lot of it is a lot of meetings, on certain days, not every day, but like maybe like on a Tuesday, a lot of meetings with clients, and then
So wait, you're talking
um,
directly to clients?
so since there are different agencies involved, we all just hop on a huge group call, and yeah, we basically present our we present through like a slideshow,
Mhm.
and we present our insights that way, and just any updates. That's how we kind of communicate, what's to be done, the plans, um, and what else? I'm trying to think like what else day to day.
What I'm curious about is, like I said, do they give you a bit of autonomy? Like, if you need to go out and do something, are you cool? Or are they kind of like, hey, you got to be here like at your chair for 8 hours from 9 to 5?
Oh
Can you work?
yeah, no, 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 no. It's not like that at all. They're very they know, everybody's working remote, so they know that you like, I'm not sitting in my chair all day, right? I'll take breaks. I'll set time to take breaks, and I'll set time. All you have to do is just maybe let your manager know, like, hey, I'm gonna go out for a walk, or I'm gonna take a lunch break, and as long as you have your work done, nobody has a problem with any of that.
Right.
So
You're treated like an adult. I really like to stress that. And if you're at a job, where you're not being treated like an adult, whether you're in digital marketing or not, I would, and the great thing is you can always, like, you could, there's so many options available now. But you guys, like, presenting things to clients, like, all these things you're doing are skills that are going to go on your resume and leverage you to your next job. And, I just think it's astounding. And the way I look at it is, like, if someone like you spent 4 years in college and you basically wasted, I mean, I don't mean to offend, and I'm sure you had a great time, and hopefully you met some friends and had some parties and everything people do in college. But from a career standpoint, it's a waste of time. There
I
is such not,
agree.
right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, if I had known earlier, that's what I would have done, you know. But I guess everything happens. The universe works in a funny way. Everything happens for a reason. That's what I guess, at least that's what I like to think. But yeah, like, definitely, like, if I had found out earlier, that's what I would have chased. I didn't know that we had that major in my school. Um, and because of that major, that's what made me dig deeper. Like, hey, what's in demand now? Like, what about this digital stuff? I've heard of Facebook ads. I've heard of Google ads. Why aren't we learning this? And that's how basically, when the pandemic happened, I got kind of forced into, like, hey, let me learn this by myself, since the
Good.
schools weren't teaching it.
Yeah. And so for people watching, like, I don't want anyone to feel bad about whatever you've done, because I've got some people have, finished college and realized they wish they'd done this earlier. Other people are, it's mostly, I get like this. I get passionate about it for the people who are in high school and are about to go to college and get into debt and waste that time, to know and hear people say, I wish I'd done this earlier. So you understand that you're being smart if you get into it earlier. You don't have to get this degree. It's meaningless. But if you're already in school, or you're about to graduate, or you did it, you shouldn't feel bad about it. You're not, you still have plenty of time to get into the field and build your career. And in a way, you can say, hey, at least that the fact that you found this major while you were in college pointed you in the right direction. They didn't teach you anything of value, but they pointed you towards this course.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I always say, like, the earlier the better, because it's kind of like it compounds, right? When you start early, you grasp things earlier, and then you just have so much more time to learn. Your knowledge will be vast. And, like, in terms of the college thing, like, definitely, like, more education always helps, but like, it's never bad to have education, but, like, you don't need it. I want to make it clear that you definitely don't need it. It's not like a requirement. Like, they didn't ask me to show them my degree. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah, man. I appreciate that. And I get really, when it comes to people talking about education, I do think, like, again, like, I went to college. I learned so much bullshit. I wish I could. I think it's because when you're an adult, it's so awesome. And if you guys are watching this and you're a teenager, or you're just getting into college, I would say you've just spent you spent 17 years of your life as a child. And it has its advantages. You don't have to work. People feed you, right? But you don't have any freedom. And then you're an adult and you don't know anything practical, but you can have freedom if you make choices like you're making. And as an adult, education is so much more fun. It's just different than school. I get to choose what I want to learn. I could take a seminar. I can take a course. I can pick this thing to learn. I can pick that thing to learn. And so from that perspective, the idea of me having to sit in a lecture hall for 4 years learning bullshit is unthinkable. It's like torture. So I think about the classes I took in college on art history or whatever, and they were just it's not that I'd love to learn about art history on Wikipedia or through a documentary, a 2-hour documentary, but spending 4 hours, a week in a lecture hall and learning all this crap. And then you measure marketing, and they're teaching you about buying billboards or microeconomics or crap from the 80s. My thinking is, it's not good for you, because now you have to unlearn that crap. and a lot of these grads come out and they have this big ego because they think I just got a marketing major from University of Pennsylvania, and they walk into the job interview like a moron.
No, for sure, for sure. I totally agree with you. I mean, we should teach kids like, hey, this is what you do on a job. Like, this is what you actually do coming out the, I hate using this term, but the real world. You know what I mean? This is what you're gonna learn in the real world. Yeah, they just don't do that in schools. They just think like test grades and things like that are important.
It's true. I could rant
It's definitely
about
a flaw.
for hours, but I'll try to spare people. But I know a lot of people watching this are, because we're sometimes like my channel or Improvement Pill or some of these guys, we're the only people in people's lives who are saying this. Everyone else is saying, go to college, get a degree. They know what they're talking about. You're going to make more money. And so this is one little YouTube channel where people like me and you and my other students giving people the real information. And so I repeat it a lot. But anyway, man, I'm just really happy for you. It sounds like you are, you're happy, you enjoy the job, you're making good money, and you're in the very beginning, like you said. I mean, what you said about compounding is 100%. The younger you start, you guys, every one of you guys, well, most of you guys, except Armando and some of my older students, most of you guys, like I started when I was 33 or 33. So you guys that are getting these jobs at age, like, how old are you?
I'm 27.
You're 27. So you're still ahead of me. And there's people getting jobs at 19 or 20, so they're ahead of you. But it's not a race, but you're in very, very good shape. So yeah, man. Thanks for sharing your story. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the people watching the interview?
Yeah, I'd say, follow Seth's course, and just if you're gonna do something, just stick with it and just give it your all. Like, if you don't sacrifice for your dreams, then your dream will be your sacrifice. I'll leave you with that.
Interesting. I don't know if I quite got that, but I get the spirit behind it. But that's really, if you don't sacrifice for your dreams, then your dreams will be sacrificed. Is that what you said?
Will be the sacrifice.
Like if
you don't basically like say like, hey, I have this goal. I'm gonna give it my all. There will be some things I have to sacrifice, such as watching Netflix or things like that. And if you don't do that, if you don't sacrifice the Netflix and things that derive you from your goal, then your goal will ultimately be the sacrifice.
That is beautiful. I get that. And it's true, guys. And it really is. Everybody, myself included, when I found digital marketing, I was a lot like you. Like I had given up on stuff before that. I had half-assed things in my 20s. When I found digital marketing, I was 110%. I spent a year stumbling around digital marketing, mostly no idea what I was doing, but I never gave up. I gave up, I spent so much time working on my websites. I gave up social engagements. I remember having a girlfriend, and I remember one night actually, she wanted to go out. She'd been working all week, and I was obsessed with this blog I was building. And I just honey, I gotta finish this blog. I'm so into it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get, she's going to dump me. So yeah. I think with anything you guys choose, that's great advice, whether you choose digital marketing or web design or whatever, or even, I don't know, any skill, the people that are committed and consistent and are willing to deal with, the ups and the downs are the people who ultimately are successful. So very well said. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's always great to have, to hear that positive attitude and to hear a successful result. So let's stay in touch, and we'll do a follow-up in like a year and see where you are.
Sounds good with me. Thank you so much, Seth.
You're welcome, man.
Thanks for everything.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care.